Hi everybody, Martyn at Flicking Feathers again today, and I'm tying this Martyn Brown spider. Very good wet fly early in the season, whether it's for Martyn Browns coming off or large brook duns, false Martyn Browns, that kind of species. Very good point fly if you're wet fly fishing. As always, I'll put a materials list in the description along with a link to the Patreon page for anybody that wants to support the channel, get access to the members only content and be entered into the giveaways. You can also subscribe, hit the bell button so you get notified of the new videos or share the video. That's all appreciated. So I've got my hook and my vise and I've run on some Uni Fire Orange and 8.0, and this is a size 12 Kamazan B170. Quite a big fly, the Martyn Brown. Tie these 12s and 14s and that will cover, certainly in the UK and Europe, that will cover the Martyn Brown and the brook dun. I've stopped my thread just at the point of the hook and I'm going to tie in my tail, which is an undercover, just taken from an undercover feather in a woodcock's wing. It's a nicely marked feather. You could use snipe rump, grouse would do, it's up to yourself really, but I like this woodcock. So I've pulled some fibres out for the hackle so that the tips are lined up. I'll grab them and I'll get, I don't know, 5, 6, that's enough. Good shank length, some will shank the hook, something like that, maybe slightly more, up to yourself. A couple of wraps back so that I'm now sort of, if I let the bobbin hang, I'm sort of halfway between the point and the barb of the hook, and that's going to be the end of my body. I'm going to tie in a rib of some fine gold wire. This is just nice. I mean, you could use copper or a red if you want it, it's up to yourself, but I just like the plain gold. And then I'll tidy everything up. And then I'll come back. The body's just, here's mask, dubbing, need a wee bit of it. And I just pluck it from various parts of the mask, try to get a nice kind of mix. Some of the spiky fibres, some of the softer fibres. Just dub it on. Set that aside, that'll probably do the next flight. Just slide my dubbing up, get it started. And I'll take the dubbing to the front, introducing a bit of taper as I go. And don't worry, I don't know if you can see that in the camera, there's maybe a wee bits where you can let the thread colour shines through. It's absolutely fine. That sort of orangey pinky tint that you get with the sort of buff of the hair here and the orange shining through is quite nice, and I think it does help the fish to spot the fly, that wee bit of fluorescence. So I'm going to take my rib up, I took a full turn at the back, and I'm going to come up the body in quite close wraps. So I'll get, say, 6 or 7 rather than the usual 45. And then I'll tie that off and just break it away. That gives me a nice tight kind of spiky body. It's well protected with the wire. And then I'm going to get my hackle, which again is from the same wing, it's woodcock's wing, but I'm taking it from the outside edge on the shoulder. So there's the wing, that's the primary feathers. I'm coming up here onto the shoulder on the outside. They're slightly darker feather towards the head, and then you're looking for a feather where the barb length is nice and long. Right, at the point that I'm going to be using, I want it to be like the hook length, basically, like that. I mean, these wee river flies, river wet flies, you don't need to be don't use dry fly proportions especially, but you don't even need to be thinking like still water wet fly proportions. The hackles can be really quite long on them. So I'm just exposing the tip of the hackle. I'm going to catch it in, good side facing me so that it will be turned to the front of the fly. A couple of wraps, fold it back, just pinch that away, and then here's my first full turn. To there, that's what it's at, 2.5 turns maybe. I mean, it will depend on the feather. Come in, catch it off, fold that back, and snap it away. And then you'll find probably that, I mean, these are really soft, webby hackle fibres. Will sort of zip back together. I don't really let that worry me too much. You can, if you like, sort of tap them and separate them, but once you fish that a wee bit, they open up. Then just whip finish, tidy up everything as I go with the whip finish. Build that wee bright orange thread head, which I think is definitely something that makes a difference. I used to tie these with like just a red thread, I mean many years ago, and when I tried them with the fluorescent head, they just, I mean, it really did make a difference to the catch rate. They just went up. So I think it just lets the fish pick it out, you know. They can see they can spot that from, they can see it better as it's coming over them. A bit of varnish and clean the eye, and there you go, an absolutely deadly wet fly for the rivers. I would fish this on the point usually, where it's a heavier dress pattern up above. So there you go, hope that was useful. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up below and subscribe to the channel. Tight lines guys, bye.